And hello, everyone. So, and then Claire Tattersall, founder of Digital Fashion Week. Hi, Claire.
Hi.
And Ermina Avdisha, digital transformation consultant. Hi, Ermina.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, now we have Adriana Pereira, founder of the Fabricant. Hi, Adriana.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. And Leslie Holden, co-founder of the Digital Fashion Group. Hi,
Hi,
Leslie. Hello,
morning. Good to
everyone.
see you again.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So today at this roundtable, so we were gonna discuss a lot of topics. So I think let's jump right in then. So Adriana, Claire, Ermina, and Leslie. So you each play a role in major turning points, from first virtual garment simulation and the first digital fashion show to 3D enabled manufacturing and the digital first education. Looking back over the past 5 years, what do you see in fashion's digital evolution genuinely transformed the industry? So let's start from maybe Leslie.
Okay, so much has happened, hasn't it? I would say the most transformative change um, has really been the shift in workflow practices. Yeah, and from the design perspective, yeah, 3D tools, and more recently, generative AI, of course. Um, and I would say that that has represents the first major shift in the way designers create since moving from pencil to CAD. Um, for companies, this evolution means a change of the time to market dynamics um, by introducing new concepts like virtual prototyping and sampling and hopefully soon accurate virtual try-ons. I think they're on the way. I think in all this, um, the move of the design process from analog first to digital first has really been starting to redefine manufacturing standards and making things like on demand and therefore sustainability more feasible. Um, yeah, yeah, I think these are the two main things: a kind of the digital sort of driving efficiencies and sustainability by transforming the industry.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what's your take, Adriana?
Yeah, I echo what Leslie mentioned, and what I see is maybe, when we I always go back to when we start the Fabricant and we were on stages in big fashion conferences, people were literally thinking, you're talking, you know, 10 years from now, we are talking about using 3D into the fashion process, which was a technology that was used by any other creative industry except fashion. And we almost loved that. And fast forward to today, I think 3D is perceived as a valid tool for the fashion industry. But the adoption, to my surprise, after so many of us around the table been promoting it, is still very small. Like actually only 10% of the industry really adopted 3D. And we think it's a lot because a lot of big players adopted it. But actually, in reality, the industry is still very 2D, very analogish. And I feel that the big transition that I'm experiencing this last year is that the promise of 3D is being fulfilled to a large extent by AI. And the promise that 3D brought back then was indeed speed, reduction of the need for samples, right? Therefore, making the whole process more efficient and more sustainable. Uh, but how most companies experience is that 3D is not quick. It's actually takes a lot of time, a lot of learning, a lot of investment to actually use it. So like the quick was not really fulfilled. To a degree, the reduction of samples, I think it's fulfilled if it's well implemented. But that samples that they were looking for, and we were working with brands back then, was like, we want to digitalize our showroom. We don't need to do 20 physical showrooms anymore. But the visualization of 3D were very poor and still were not good enough for that, right? Or I don't want samples for e-commerce. It's not good enough for that. And so then suddenly a new technology comes that's highly intuitive, that you need no learning, almost no learning time, and that is fast, and that is giving you very, very good visualizations, is actually offering what the industry needs right now. And from a macro point of view, we all have been in the fashion industry, and oh my God, what an industry in a flux, right? For the last 10 years. And I feel that right now, everything is coming together. Because in the past, we were talking about, okay, the low end is suffering because of the fast fashion from Asia. And now we are looking at the changes in the luxury sector, and the last year was nothing but changes. So as of suddenly, it's not only the bottom, it's also the top, it's the whole industry. Is like, well, I hear from everybody, we need to be faster, we need to be efficient, meaning cheaper in our processes, right? And we need to be more sustainable. And the last one, certainly for Europe, the amount of pressure that we're going to be suffering is just piling up. So there is no way out. We are cornered. And I feel that, not only I feel, I'm experiencing it right now, that AI is one of the tools that has been embraced as an opportunity to deliver some of the, I guess, wins that the industry needs. It's just a tool, I must say. It's just a tool. And I think we will elaborate more on that through the course of this conversation. But yeah, new tools.
Yeah,
Problems didn't get smaller,
sure.
just bigger. But there is more interest and adoption, and I think movement from the industry in general.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, talking about the 3D, Ermina, you were the 3D platform owner for Mango. I mean, for the some brands. So given from Adriana's sharing, what's your take? What's your observation in the past 5 years and about this?
Yeah, going from what Adriana was saying, that it's so true, everything. Really, like from me, what I've experienced and what I've seen, it's that last 5 years, the industry suddenly like realized that there is maybe a need for digital product creation, for digital twins, that before wasn't actually realizing it, or they were like brands, so they were trying to deep dive and understand it's a need, piloting some projects, some proof of concept, but there were like actually a need for that. And then 5 years ago, it really make us realize that the better way to stay in the market is actually to understand what technology we have out there right now, what technology can do for us. And the also brands understood 5 years ago that there is a high need to really be ready on innovation and adapting those new technologies within the processes, but also quickly realized that there were like a lot of misalignment on how the data were already within companies, how people were taking these data and those technologies, how they were using it. So for me, it was like, okay, we need these technologies. We have some use cases that we want to implement within, in order to respond of the changes of what was happening in the world right in that moment and the years before. But the organizations weren't ready there. People weren't ready there. There were like a lot of course, skills that you needed to learn, not only about technology, but also like people itself needed to be way more aware of their soft skills as well, and adapt way faster to the changes within the organization in order to deliver what it was needed in that moment. So for me, like 5 years ago, we started to understand that as a industry, we need digital twins and digital product creation, whatever type of technology we are using, actually. So it's not about just only 3D or utilizing AI nowadays. So it's really about digitalizing it and find the way, find the right use cases for us, for the industry itself, to be way more efficient, faster, and to stay ready in the market, whatever need we have.
Yeah.
This is my take on.
Yeah. Interesting. So talking about market, Claire, you are closer to the marketing, to the consumer and people. So what's your thoughts from your these past 5 years, from your experience in the Digital Fashion Week?
Right. So, undoubtedly we have seen massive transformation, and we've seen a lot of hype cycles. We've ridden a lot of waves. I think something that we need to take a look at is that, before this, any change has been tremendously, tremendously slow. The fashion industry is a legacy industry. It's very rooted in tradition and the past. And these pipelines and supply chains, workflows all have been built up over decades, in some cases centuries as well. So when we suddenly saw that there was an urgent need to change these, 3D design came to the rescue, essentially. And we put this in the hands of creatives, and they were addressing a section of the changing the workflow and making it more efficient. And it put a very bright light on the horizon. At the same time, these creatives played with a tool, as creatives do, and they developed new areas of the industry, new things that we could do with digital products as well. So they opened up new doors. It has been hard for the industry to adopt. And I think we can all agree the adoption of 3D has been so much slower than we all would have hoped, and we can all see value for. In terms of the consumer, as you asked, the consumer also has ridden some hype cycles. We saw a lot of enjoyment of filters on Instagram, and this has died away. And this was a very playful outcome of digital assets. But something that we have really seen is the growth in the gaming industry, the growth of opportunities for designers to move into these different markets. And I think that's something really, really significant that 3D design has given us. We are standing very much on the brink of the next wave of change. As everybody already addressed, we're looking so much at generative AI, and I feel this is moving very much in it off to an angle. It is a divergence from the previous direction that we'd been going. It's not, it's better in many ways. It's solving one problem. It is definitely solving the problem of content, and 3D visualization and that part of the production process. But we do have a lot more areas that we really need to address. And I think these are very exciting opportunities for change.
Yeah. It is exciting with the generative AI. But then what are people really engaging with digital fashion now then? What's your
The consumer,
yes?
I think the primary way that they're engaging with digital fashion is in XR spaces, and in the gaming industry, which
Right.
essentially is XR, but let's separate it out. We have XR, spaces like Decentraland, where people are really using fashion to explore the environments, to engage with other people. Very, very much an opportunity for self-expression.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of new marketplaces for fashion designers in XR spaces, dressing your avatar. So I think this is the primary way that people are really engaging.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, with the leveraging by generative AI and also the smart glasses that, is going to be the next wave. I think this is going to be like even more exciting. But then talking about AI, do you think that now we are in AI bubble? This is a big question. So Leslie, do you want to address on that?
Yeah, are we in an AI bubble? Yeah, I think we are a bit still in an AI bubble, but I think the lasting impact of AI adoption really hinges on core principles that deliver quantifiable return on investment and efficiency. I think these are the main things that will really make a difference. And I think we can establish hybrid workflows for seamless integration of AI, the speed of AI. I think all that is happening, will happen. I think for the rapid ideation and iteration, added with human precision for generating the final product, I think the accuracy of what AI can actually do is incredible. But I think it has to be seen, first of all, that there's a real return on investment. And then I think we'll be out of the bubble and it will be accepted as a norm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's a lot of investment in the AI startups, right? And
Yeah.
Adriana, your take?
I can definitely add to that. I feel that we are definitely in an excitement phase, and the excitement is driven by, the designer community really being able to give wings to their creativity without constraints, right? It's really amazing to hear the designers, once they start using AI, how much freedom they create, how much more they have the feeling that they gain time again to be creative. And I think the whole industry will benefit tremendously from it. There is definitely gains in speed, as we are right now, in both speed of time to market, speed of design, and it's measurable. And it's, again, it is confirmed by our users. There is massive gain in savings of content creation. And I mean massive, like 90% savings. That's what is being reported to us from our clients. So I feel that the business case is actually quite solid because the tools are affordable. You don't need a lot of training. And I think like what Ermina was saying, 3D integration and implementation require not only learning the tools, but it's a completely different process and a mindset, right? So the human factor of the change is much more than with AI. AI is so much more intuitive. It's literally a tool that I can do what I'm doing just better. So I think that is absolutely verified, quantified, and felt. I think because of the easiness, the adoption is very strong. What I do feel is that the next phase is where we started not using AI just to do what we do faster, but actually to truly redesign the entire chain. And that is what I'm most excited about. So that's why I say, are we in a bubble? No, we're not in a bubble, but are we in the beginning of a journey that is actually can be extremely beneficial for the industry. That's when we start really touching upon how we're going to redesign the entire value chain. Not only the creative part, which is right now being touched upon, but truly the entire value chain, and where we can bring manufacturing in and go to what Leslie was saying, to the true most sustainable model, which is on-demand production or very close to demand production. And that's when AI is being used to not only on the design phase, but on your intelligence phase, on your stock management phase, on your production phase, right? And there are pockets happening, but I think this, in the next CEO, you're going to start seeing it all being brought together. And some of our users are already bringing that together, and I think it's just fascinating.
Yeah,
So
exciting.
it is exciting.
Yeah. So we are all very positive. It's not a bubble. What about you, Ermina? What do you think?
Completely agree. Like she ramped up everything very shortly. Great. The only thing that I would like to add is on AI is on the generative AI. It's the fact that since it's a language that is so easy for us to understand, it's also creating like those outputs that is helping the whole value chain, generally speaking, and also the supply chain. What I mean by that is like not only in images, the output. I mean, it's in words, in other file formats, that it's helping everywhere, and it's organizing the way how we are doing things as well. So we are speeding up processes in every type, not only in the creative space, in every type of data and every type of language. So it's mandatory to use it. The point is how we are going to use it, where we are going to use it, which softwares or which models we want to use and adopt within the brands and the industry. And as the only thing that I would like to still like point out, it's that we are human using those tools. So we still need to be trained. We need time to use those tools and understand them, how to improve with those tools. With so we need more time, actually, still way less than 3D or in this case. And another thing that I would like to add, it's the point is that it's in a technology that it's way more interoperable than the tools that we have been used until now. That this is one of the other reasons why it's easier to implement, in my point of view. But we need clear data, structured data, organized processes, and workflows, and training people in order to really have like as smooth as possible this transition.
Yeah, definitely. When we talk about skill, we have to ask Leslie. So what do you think that this is the most pressing and vital skills that's, in this AI era? Not only for the, entry-level job seekers, but also for the professionals.
I agree with everything that's been said so far about the ease of AI. But, one of the things I think is important to remember is and thinking particularly from the design perspective, if you have bad designs, if you don't understand what a good design is, if you haven't been trained as a designer, then AI is not going to help you. So the fundamental skills that students are being educated with at the moment are crucial to understanding how we go forward. I think implementing AI certainly is more intuitive, perhaps, than 3D virtual prototyping. But the great thing about 3D virtual prototyping is, for a student, you really have to understand 3D. In 3 dimensions, you really have to understand the structure of a garment, how it's made, how it's shaped, how it's put together. With AI, you don't. My concern is, just to throw the cat amongst the pigeons here, that if we depend too much on AI, we'll actually forget the real passion of clothing. And we will be using a tool that has to be used very, very carefully to ensure that we achieve the results that we want to achieve. But we have to understand what fashion is first before using every tool. I know, because of my work and my connections, that academia are struggling with how to bring AI through the curriculum. And it's coming in bits and pieces, just the same as 3D virtual prototyping was difficult to integrate as well. So it's a mirror of what was happening before. The academics are talking about AI as a concern that it's just giving more plagiarism. But of course, there's huge benefits to that. So I think it's more about a cultural shift, also about how we consider AI as a co-pilot in the creative process and how it's managing the whole workflow process to ensure there's more accuracy going through, rather than just thinking AI can do everything for us.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, Leslie, and I love that you brought that in the context of education, young designers. We have been working a lot with the education sector as well, and one of the coordinators, I think he spoke it beautifully. It's like, oh, now we're going to change the curriculum to actually give more time back to actually learning design, like and defining your own voice as a designer, defining your own point of view, and more time for pencil sketching, which I loved, because like they put so much emphasis. This is a university that's very well known for innovating, and they put so much emphasis in the curriculum of learning tools, and they actually saw AI as being so intuitive, as Ermina was saying, that actually you don't need so much time to learn. Then you can give that time back to actually let's talk fashion. Let's learn the craft of fashion. Let's go back to craftsmanship. And I think there is an opportunity there to put more time in the curriculum for that. And I feel that the more progressive schools are understanding it and adopting AI. And the other side of the coin is I give a lot of lectures to students, to fashion students, and they're very nervous. They every time I come and talk to AI, the first 15 minutes, they're super nervous. Like, what about data protection? What about plagiarism? What about my job? Do I have a future? And we have a conversation about it, and I let them play with the tools. And at the end of the class, it's a master class, I ask the same questions, and they are not fearful anymore. They really see how the tool can actually work for them in their craft as a pilot, as a co-pilot, not as a pilot, as a co-pilot, as an assistant, right? As an assistant.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important for the educational sector to embrace it, to demystify, to teach, and to allow people to learn on how to use AI, because it's not going to go away. Let's be honest, it's not going to go away. It's only going to get more powerful. And it's better to educate the young talent right now with the tools that are available. So they're critical. They develop their own voice. They're not going to be just doing stuff that is not fashion, that's not going to work in real life, right? So all those conversation translation need to happen right now. Mm-hmm. And just finish my point on my hobby horse, which is what I'm most passionate about, and again, bringing it to the young designers, is giving them the understanding that right now they have the tools available for them to launch their labels with minimum capital investment.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Claire, you have something to add.
Like, super important.
Yeah. So my prediction is that in 6 months, we're going to stop talking about AI, because AI is essentially, I see it as fuel injection. AI itself, we have large language models. It's what we're doing with this. It's people like the Fabricant. They are building a tool, and AI is the fuel injection that helps solve problems. So AI itself is not the thing that we want to be talking about. It's what are the problems and how do we solve them? And this is the fuel injection. So I think it's, I don't see it as a bubble. I see we're essentially at the inception point, but it is just something. Let's not look at AI isn't doing it. It is, companies like the Fabricant that are building a tool that is powered to some degree by AI, that is solving a particular problem and that is changing our workflow, that is really helping our production process, that will ultimately solve sustainability issues. I think we would all love to see on-demand manufacturing. We'd all love to see better virtual try-on. I think that will absolutely be a game changer. And we need to focus on what are the tools, and this fuel injection will just help us get there faster.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about this, but with when we talk about AI, people still have the kind of skepticism, like for data protection, because AI is everything about data, right? Even if now we're not competing with human, we're competing with algorithm, but with data, we still have to think about the data protection, or even like brands' IP. And then with this, Adriana, what do you think about this type of worries or?
Yeah, I think it's a very important topic, and I love that you're bringing it. Before I go there, I want to celebrate with Claire. I love what you just said. Like, let's stop talking about technology. Let's start talking about the problems that we want to solve. I think data is a component of the new technology. And the parallel I make is, as we become more aware of things, we become more critical. So, like example of, I think we in the last 10 years, or 5 maybe, we all became obsessed about labels behind the food, right? Like I read all the labels, I want to see what's inside, because I'm more aware about what food does to my body, and I want to eat better. I think the same is happening with AI, and I invite everybody to do that. Is, before you engage in a tool, look behind the label. How are they using your data? What rights are you giving for the use of it? And what belongs to you and what will belong to the tool in terms of intellectual property? And that is critical, and everybody should be doing it right now. And just an example, if you go to ChatGPT and you set up an account, the default is that your data is used for training. You need to go there and unclick the default, right? So in the Fabricant, for example, we take data super seriously, and very simply is, what goes inside is yours, what goes outside is yours. If you're a paying user, your data is not used for training. It's in a very protected server, and that's very critical, especially for fashion, right? Why IP is so important. And we are very true to that, and we are very serious about it. But not every tool is doing that. And I invite everybody to really look at the label and ask the questions if it's not written, because it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, definitely. Because, for some large language models, basically, they also have a kind of closed model that you can train just for corporates internally and not for public. And Ermina, so what's your take with the all these kind of, in the corporate, in brands, how do you see on this data protection and IP issue?
I mean, yeah, you need to be very aware of the fact that it was happening, and for large brands, or small brands in any way, for everybody. The point is, yeah, you need to be aware which one you want to use, when want to use it, because right now, there is like every technology is like releasing the latest changes, the new releases, so the new capabilities. Everyone wants to test them and see what we can use, in our which problems we can solve. So therefore, we need to be like a little bit way more aware that we need to pause, understand which one we want to go, and organize our plans with certain tools, being aware of the fact that might happen something someday. So so you have to have the right agreement and the right relationships in order to and not go after whatever. And you have to as well talk a lot with your employees because we usually go and give data just for free, just for questions, just for, I go to ChatGPT and I want to use this and that and how I'm gonna do it. Maybe it's something that I'm thinking probably, which is for my job. Then
Yeah,
they,
so the data will be just because you can't really use like company names or like a real products name
Yeah.
or stuff like that, right?
Yeah. But the ideas or whatever is going to be in trained there anyway. So it's like you need to be very aware of as a company and as an employee as well.
Yeah. And Leslie.
Yeah, I'm not really sure there's anything I can add to what Adriana or Ermina has said already. I mean, I do work with the EU, a partner. It's the Worth Partnership project, but it's nothing to do with data. So I think that from a very basic perspective, I think one has to be very honest where you're getting your data from, where what you're using, what tools you're using, particularly using AI. You have to be clear about that. If you're showing some work which has been generated by AI, I think that that clarity has to be there. But apart from what's been said already, I don't think I've got anything to add to that.
Okay. Yeah. Claire?
Yeah, it's a big question. Half of me feels that train left the station years ago. We've been giving our data to big tech for years. And the other half of me feels that this is really a regulation issue. We need governments, we need international organizations to regulate and put parameters around this. I think as individuals, there are things that other team members here today have indicated that we can try to do to protect ourselves. But I think honestly, the majority of this is really out of our hands. And we really need to look far above us for solutions and guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, my last question. So, let's wrap up this and end on a visionary note. So, what's the next chapter of digital fashion beyond all this AI hype and waves? And then, what actions that should industry take now to build a future that is more like, both visionary and viable, even more resilient? Yeah. Adriana?
I would say, to me, the next evolution is 100% digital chain, which means the digitalization of all the process up until manufacturing and leading to on-demand production. I think that is really what I'm championing and want to be the most vocal about. That will bring a whole, renaissance of micro manufacturing, which is very much needed, certainly in Europe. That will bring the opportunity for younger labels to flourish, which to me is a great opportunity for fashion to become creative again. Because right now we are dominated by big conglomerates that just copy each other, which is a shame. So I want to see more diversity. I want to see young entrepreneurs being able to launch their labels in a sustainable, both financially sustainable as much as, from a true sustainability point of view. And I think that will be possible when we have this entire value chain digitalized. I think manufacturers are going to benefit from it as well. They are in a tough spot. They're being asked every time more with less means and tighter margins. And I think digitalization for them is also an avenue that will enable them to flourish their business in a better manner. I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited. And I'm seeing pockets of what I'm talking about already happening. I'm just like, supporting, hopefully, and cherishing it for the scalability of all these initiatives.
Yes, well, for manufacturing, it's really really crucial. Ermina?
Wow, for me, it's like very difficult to figure out next year's because it's like,
Yeah, everything is changing so fast, right?
yeah, it's like everything is changing too fast, even for me, like for everybody, I guess. But what I strongly believe for sure it is that yeah, we need to adapt very fast to these new waves in order to stay in the industry. Having clear business goals, and once we have those business goals very clear, we need to figure out really like the use cases for them or the projects, and use whatever type of technology there is out there right now, and in order to fulfill the needs of the brands, and for designers and all the rest, I mean, of the people in the chain that we are using. We need to like really adapt ourselves and be way more resilient than before, actually. So we have to spend more time on learning, on discovering probably how it's going to be the future about, um, and really looking forward to use technology as our main tool daily, and have like more like a, yeah, a critical mindset, an innovative mindset, way more than before, I think,
Yeah.
generally speaking. Um, that therefore, then we, in terms of technologies, yeah, AI will, we need that, we need it. 3D, we still need it, because people ask me if sometimes it's like it's gonna be, it's 3D dead. No, it's not that. The point is that depends on the use cases and what you are doing with that, and also augmented reality and virtual reality, or the new words in the metaverse as well. It really depends. Digital fashion, it's so huge as a term, and it's needed in the industry, but it really depends on what now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
and
that's
also, AI actually can enable all of this, and then to even maximize it, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Leslie?
Okay, I'm going to get my soapbox out, put it down, stand on my soapbox. Something that I often say in these kind of conversations. I was trained as a fashion designer in a very traditional way. Um, and I was working in a bubble at the beginning of the supply chain. People were coming to me and saying, do something creative, do us some designs. I would hand them on. The designs would disappear down the supply chain. Buyers, merchandisers, whoever could fiddle around with them, and the designs would come out looking quite a bit different at the end than my initial idea. Building on from what Adriana was saying, I really believe a future should be, could be, perhaps it won't be, but I believe that it should be, rather than the designer or the creative being in a little bubble at the beginning of the supply chain. The designer should be right in the center of a unsplintered, shorter supply chain, working very closely in an ongoing conversation with the consumer, with the customer, talking about customization, personalization, and very close to the manufacturer in an on-demand, around the corner, microfactory kind of way of manufacturing. So it takes all the focus on the future of the fashion industry, perhaps in Europe, as Adriana was saying, much more towards shorter on-demand manufacturing and creatives developing their own pathways rather than huge mass market operations where everything looks exactly the same. That's my fear of AI. That AI will help, unless it's used properly, unless people are educated properly in the ways to use AI, that it just produces what we've already seen. And without that creative in the center of the data dialogue, actually helping us see other ways of approaching and using these tools, then I think that we are lost. I think that AI will be a huge modification of what we've already got. And who wants that? AI should be helping us cut down on the waste, make it more sustainable. But if we're just producing more, then that's not going to happen. So my wish for the future is that the creative is possibly better educated in understanding how business works, in understanding how the tools work, in not just thinking of themselves as an artist, but also as a business person, and working closely with the consumer and closely with the manufacturer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Claire, to wrap up.
Yeah, so something I am really, really excited about is virtual fit. And for many reasons, I think it's an absolute dream to work towards microfactories and on-demand manufacturing. I think virtual fit will play a very, very key part in this. Imagine that we have retail stores where you don't have inventory, you have excellent virtual try-on. You have excellent virtual try-on at home. This is not photo fitting. It is going back to real 3D and understanding how it fits on you. Owning our body data is a very, very key part of that as well. But also from a different point of view of the value of virtual fit is when we do have more AI shopping. We own our body data, and essentially everything will be coming to us. We'll see how these amazing independent designers can compete equally with luxury or mainstream or fast fashion brands. And if we can reduce the competitiveness of accessing the customer, I think the opportunity to see more independent designers compete and this infusion of creativity that we will have as a result of that in our wardrobe, I think is so exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, thank you. Thank you all for those powerful insights and sharings. Yeah, of course. So it's the time for Q&A. And then today, actually, we have one restaurant and audience that we will let him just ask the questions directly here. So now we are going to invite Benjamin Hori. Benjamin Hori, who is the from Korea, if I was correct. Hi, Benjamin.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can all hear me well. Just want to
Yes.
say thank you for delivering the session. It was very insightful. I do have a couple questions. Hopefully I can ask a couple here. Is that all right?
Well, just one because
Okay,
our
okay,
time
just
is
one.
up soon. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. I'd like to ask a question to Ermina. So I know you have some experience bridging digital and physical fashion production at Nepagiri, but I want to know a little bit more specifically what technical safeguards you found the most effective for protecting IP and 3D assets when they're moving and distributed across different platforms.
Yeah, from my experience, which I cannot talk that much about where I did it, but it's we tried just one platform, and we used for the digital twins that we created 3D dam. You know, the way we were creating from the digital product creation during the creation, and then when we finalized um, the asset, the final asset to be unplugged in another metaverse. But we just use just one workflow and one process, so we didn't actually plug them in another metaverse spaces. The protection of those have been just how can I say, just of course view and regulated on that works in that metaverse space, and that's it. This is what I haven't done something like cross spaces in order to protect those assets, unfortunately, yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
So we have some couple of questions from YouTube online. So I think I just ask one since we have 2 minutes. Let's see, So how do you see the strongest synergies emerging between traditional craft practices and new digital tools? And what might this mean for how designers develop their skills and creative identity? Who would like to answer first? Leslie.
Yeah, we've been talking to a very big, important online retailer recently about their collection and how they're developing it and how the designers work. And they've implemented AI through the whole design process. And the design director was talking about this trough of disillusionment where you start off with great expectations of what this can actually achieve from a design perspective and a creative perspective, and then you lose the excitement in a way because you start to realize that there's so much more that you need to learn, and you're not creating quickly enough. And so going back to what we were saying earlier, I think that it's really important to put enough time in any of the processes, that there's enough space given to people playing, to people understanding, to people learning about how to implement AI in their processes, in that creative process. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah.
I have some addition maybe from another angle. So one of the designers I really appreciate, anyway, long story short, somebody that I know that is in the field, and she is from Trinidad and Tobago, and she's basically launching a platform where the seamstresses are connected, and basically you can put a project in the platform, and those local seamstresses and small manufacturers are gonna actually make your product, right? And to me, that is such a beautiful use of technology to maintain those entrepreneurs, those micro entrepreneurs, to actually make them flourish, to nurture local crafts, while making them like serve worldwide, right? Like it's not even AI, it's just like technology, and that is, and back to Claire's point, I think hopefully in 6 months we're not talking AI, we're just talking about digitalization, or we're talking about technology, because at the end of the day, there are different technologies that are being put together that enable these new forms of fashion innovation, I would say, right? And I think this case is just a great manner to merge the two worlds.
Okay, so I think today the event has concluded, and then thank you everyone to join us and had such a insightful and inspiring conversation. And I wish we can have more time, but maybe next time. Yeah. So thank you very much.